Throughout my life, I've always been drawn to water. I'm not even sure why. Maybe it's all the fun it's given me, the adventures. Perhaps it's how I feel when I'm in it. I feel free. They say immersing ourselves in water can lift us from depression and fill us with euphoria. I think it's just that oxygen is overrated. Come rain or shine, 4 million people in Britain swim in wild waters every year. This summer I'm joining them as I swim my way through Britain's Lidos, lakes, rivers and seas.
Oh, perfect. So this is where my swimming odyssey begins. And I know what you're thinking. What's wild about this, Robson? It's a pool. I'm telling you, this is the calm before the storm. Trust me, I'm an actor. I've got some really big plans.
I've got a visual fall 500 metres in the middle of the water! 400 metres! 100 metres fall! 50 metres! Come this way!
Well, if I'm going to wild swim around Britain, I want to start at home.
Cold it is, you remember it?
That's terrifyingly cold. But it wasn't the best of starts. My body shut down after 200 metres. That temperature saps you. Well, people along the bank thought it was a suicide attempt. What was I thinking?
Are you real?
I was asking the lifeboat guy, saying when was the last time a person swam in here? He said Friday night. We're absolutely off their heads. But no one actually, you know, of sane mind has swam the Tyne in the last 50 years.
What's your name?
It's Robson Green.
Right.
And I'm a wild swimmer.
Yeah.
But it's woke me up. Now I'm ready for this. You know, you couldn't have done that 40 years ago. Swim the Tyne. I think the only other thing that swam up there is a salmon. You know, coal was floated down there. Thousands of tons of coal. And it was surrounded by mines. You got the high-level bridge going over it, designed by Robert Stevenson, son of George Stevenson. George Stevenson being the reason why we are called Geordies. No, so I'm taking you to a place where I had my first wild swim. It's the Seaton Burn. And this is a little river that was 20 yards from my back door. So imagine that. There's a beautiful little stream. It's just a bank, just fell into this lovely stream. It had bulrushes, there was, you know, the swans, there was water hens, there were deer. It's the loveliest thing. What on earth is this? Believe it or not, this is where we used to jump in as kids. This river would be about 20 foot wide. It'd be me, Snadge and Bananas, just trunks on, bloosh. It's about twice as wide, but I was going to say it succumbed to industry and pollution, but this is just neglect, that's all this is. But when the new estate was built over the way there, they piped the river off, so there was loads of wood knocking about, so we used to build rafts, and we'd just float them down the river up to the big water over there and get some rats with our catapults, and it's just a great way to spend the day.
After 2 false starts on my wild swimming odyssey, I head to Seaton Sluice where the water is guaranteed. even if the temperatures aren't.
This is where Dad taught me to swim. Or should I say, this is where Dad hurled me into the North Sea. In my white Y-front, I may add. I mean, just to give you an idea of the temperature, you know, just as the crow flies, it's the Arctic Ocean. So you just pick me up and throw me in. Go on, swim, you big Jesse! Dad, I'm turning blue! He was a big, big, powerful man, my dad. And involved in the most dangerous occupation in the world. You know, worked down a mine, worked down a black hole for 42 years. But that sort of job molds and develops and it paints a certain kind of man, and my dad was that man. And he was one hell of a swimmer. He could swim for miles in 10-degree water in his swimming trunks. Well, I lost Dad recently. So I think maybe that's what I'm doing on this journey. Reclaiming identity and family. That's just how I remembered it as a little boy. That lovely feeling of hypothermic shock.